This is Movies and Dreamscapes. Good evening, listeners. Here are 5 of the strangest true stories involving mysterious disappearances, alleged time loops, or dimensional travels. Number 1. The vanishing of Rudolph Fentz. One of the most famous cases of alleged time travel involves a man named Rudolph Fentz. In 1950, a man dressed in outdated 19th century clothing was struck by a car in New York Times Square. His clothing, currency, and identification all seemed to be from the 1870s, including a business card with his name. Authorities traced the name to a man who had disappeared in 1876, seemingly without a trace. The oddity? This same man reappeared 74 years later, confused and out of time. Now some believe this is urban legend, others argue it's a genuine case of a man displaced through time. Number 2. The Man from Narrated. In 1954, a man arrived in Haneda Airport in Tokyo, Japan, holding a passport from a country no one had ever heard of. Narrated. The man was confused when airport officials questioned him, claiming Narrated was located between France and Spain. He even produced stamps in his passport from previous visits to Japan. While officials detained him for questioning, he mysteriously disappeared from his guarded hotel room, and all evidence of his existence, including his passport, vanished. To this day, his origin and fate remain unexplained, leading many to believe he was a traveler from another dimension. Number 3. The disappearance of David Lang. In 1880, a Tennessee farmer named David Lang was walking across a field near his home when, according to witnesses, his wife and 2 children, he vanished mid-stride. One moment he was there, and the next he had disappeared without a trace, leaving only a patch of dead grass where he stood. A thorough search of the area yielded no clues. Months later, his children claimed they would hear their father's voice calling out faintly from the spot where he disappeared. But he was never found. Was this a case of dimensional travel or something more sinister? Number 4. The Moberly Jourdain time slip. In 1901, 2 British women, Anne Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, visited the Palace of Versailles in France and claimed to have experienced a bizarre time slip. As they strolled through the gardens, they described encountering people dressed in 18th century attire and witnessing scenes that appeared to be from the time of Marie Antoinette. The strange sensation lasted only moments before they found themselves back in the present. The women later published a book, an adventure, recounting their experience in vivid detail. Many theorists believed they inadvertently traveled back in time, while skeptics argue it was a case of shared hallucination. Number 5. The time traveler at the Cape Scott Lighthouse. In the late 1970s, a Cape Scott lighthouse in British Columbia, Canada, a lighthouse keeper and his wife reportedly encountered a strange man dressed in particular clothing. The man seemed lost and confused, repeatedly asking for directions to a non-existent main road and referring to places that didn't exist. He left abruptly. When the lighthouse keeper followed, he found the man had vanished without a trace. Days later, The keeper claimed to have received a letter from a man living in the 1920s who described the lighthouse and its surroundings in detail, long before it had been constructed. The nature of these stories, shrouded in mystery and speculation, invites endless debate. Were these people truly displaced in time, caught in time loops, or travelers from alternate dimensions? Or do they represent the deep human desire to believe in the extraordinary? These tales remain strange and unexplainable, adding to the enduring allure of the unknown.